sent out. Get our bot in here. And get the Discord taken care of. And then walk on the screen. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is September 26th, and this is the September 26th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we're going to be continuing our work on the new conversation system. For the most part, everything is set up roughly the same as where it was on Tuesday. I do have some scripting done for containing information on topics and the like, and that also includes information on how certain topics should be displayed. So, for example, we have actually, I'm curious. I guess not. Okay. So each conversation with a specific character will have their own or its own particular set of topics that you can broach. Some of them will be displayed visually over here through buttons. Those are the ones that you kind of figure out and are the more relevant towards progression. While you can type anything that you want into the bar down at the bottom, and that can potentially give you a very unique output, like something that is, it's not like it's going to be procedural, but there may be some hidden things that you can talk to people about, and you will be able to broach subjects that you don't know yet if you type them into here. So, let's go ahead and come down to here. We're going to go ahead. So, I have the topic set up in such a way that you have a label, which is, as you can see, the label that would be shown on the button if it shows up in the topics area. I should probably actually say we're going to be doing coding today. In addition to that, we have two different criteria. The first criteria is criteria for if the topic can be discussed at all. So, for example, if King was the topic and font unlocked blue is not greater than or equal to 1.5, then you can, even if you type it into the field down here, then you won't be able to do anything. Like it'll just give you a default response, basically. Or it might give you a failure response. Ooh, should I do that? That might be a thing. That probably would be actually some interesting thing down here. Anyway, and let's assume that that's set to nothing, so you don't have any specific criteria you have to adhere to. If you instead have visual criteria, so for the word king to show up in here as a button, you would have to have font unlocked green is equal to true, and font unlocked font unlocked orange is not equal to 11.565. That was also just me testing some random values to see what these all looked like. So you can see that there's different little bits of usability there. Anyway, so that's the basic system that I'm thinking for broaching topics. Most of the time, that's going to just end up being, as you explore the level, you will see and passively activate sort of these flags, and you're not necessarily going to be aware that you've passed those flags or set those flags, but once you do, then you'll be able to come back and talk to people and broach specific subjects that you might have. So that's the basic structure for it. We don't have it in place yet. We're going to need to set that up first. So let's go ahead, and I think I'm going to apply this, and then I'm going to make a test scene where we can interact with something. So let's go ahead, and I am going to just turn this off. We're going to hit select over here. I'm going to hit apply. All right. So we have our conversation menu set up. I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to turn you off. And we're just going to jump over to a new scene. I'm going to put this in the test scenes folder. See if I can find one. Huh, really? I could have sworn that I had a test scene. I can put it here for now. Create folder conversation. Let's go ahead and pull in that. Go ahead and save this out. Test. I bet that's under text quest tests. Text quest scenes test. There you go. Conversation. We're just going to call this conversation test. All right. We're going to go ahead and just throw up a quick plane. We're going to make it use test material. Go ahead and zero that out. Come over to here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and turn off main camera. I'm going to add player. You know what? This is just going to be easier if I go to it. So I'll go up to prefabs here. Prefabs, player. Let's drag them in. Right there. Pretty straightforward. Don't have much that we need to do there. And now we're going to go ahead and real quick, let's make a just a test object. So we're going to make a text mesh pro text here, which is probably going to take like 2 seconds. So I'm going to take a drink. All right. Let's go ahead and assign our 8-bit font. We'll have this just be TEST. Pretty straightforward. We're going to want to shrink the scale. Actually, we're not going to shrink the scale. So we're going to move font size down to like, I think, nope, looks like 4? Maybe 5. That should be fine. Let's go ahead and center it. We're going to move over to here. Okay, we'll put it right about there. That's pretty decent. And we're going to have a width of, I'm guessing, no more than 1, and a height of probably 2. 2.5. Sure. That's good enough. All we really need this for is just to interact with so that we can talk with it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new game object. We're just going to call this test character. Alright, let's drag you down here. We're going to say you are all zeroed out, correct? Okay. Here. All right, we're going to go ahead and add, I don't remember if I do have a character. I do. All right. So this was all of the old conversation system, so we're going to replace that with a reference to basically a single scriptable object that's going to contain all that data. So now we won't have this extra complicated field here, or set of fields. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to need to make this in the interactive layer. Yeah, we'll go ahead and change children. We're going to need to add, I really should have made this a thing. So here's a little bit of a tangent, but I really do wish that Unity allowed for nested context commands. Sadly, they don't, and because of that, you can't make complicated context menus. So it'd be nice if I could add modules for my actor system on this, but if I added that to the actor component, I would have a massive drop down here. I wouldn't be able to compress that at all, which sucks. All right, so we're just going to make a empty game object here. We're going to call this collision. We're going to add we'll make it a capsule collider, and then a collision module. All right, so let's see here. Our capsule collider is going to be, I'm guessing, 1-ish in the Y, with a height, we said it was like 2.5. It looks like 2. We'll do 2.25, and we'll do 1.125. Yeah, that's good. All right, that's all we really need to do there, and now we can start editing this script a little bit. So I'm just going to make this be a test character. conversations. Tests. Adjectives, don't need any. Burn info is none. We're not going to let you burn it because it's a test character. Text color is default, ignoring groups, that's all fine. Verbs, we are going to need to debug this real quick and cheat. So we're just going to add one of these, and I'm going to make it speak. Text only, that should be enough for me to use this now. Here is where it's going to get fun. So we're going to say bool, and output type is going to be default. I got the hiccups. And we're just going to have to say, like, speak output for now. So this is going to be a little interesting because when you try to speak to a character, we don't actually want a standard output to happen. Instead, we want a history log to happen, which we kind of do with the speak prefab. We're just going to have to handle it a little bit differently because now instead of having a message that shows up in immediately following your input, it's going to be like a history of your chat in that separate menu. So that's a thing that we may get to today, but for now I'm more focusing on getting it to the actual menu. Not worried about output audio. Don't need word checks. Item checks required. Don't need to worry about any of that. All right, so that should be enough for me to just pop in here and go up to it and say something. Oh, that was weird. I couldn't move. Okay. Sector? What's the problem? Sector audio? That's super weird. Maybe that was like a one-time setup thing. That's very strange. I mean, I guess if so, I can just turn off some of the sector components. Not like we need them for this test scene, so. Okay, weird. Yeah, it's fine now. Okay, so we can talk to this, and if we say talk, we apparently get a null reference exception. Oh, right, because it doesn't have a... Oh, that too. Come on. I don't need to wait, do I? I apparently do. The curse of opening up a CS project. Apparently Unity's just like, I'm just going to wait while you're doing it. That was my fault. Forgot to add my model module. Work with me! Model module. Okay, now we should be able to actually talk to them. Okay. When you feel like it, Unity, we can get around to it. Okay, there we go. So nothing too crazy. If we go up here to test character, I think unknown, you know, actually, speak text, that's what we need. I'm going to change this to that. Don't need to worry about that. Need to worry about that. All right, so we should be able to just try that again, and now it should give us that special output. Again, that's probably going to be defined in the actual scriptable object that we made, because you're not going to really have a simple text conversation here. There we go. So let's go ahead and pop over to here and So you shouldn't be able to initiate a conversation with anything, only with characters. And before I forget, I am going to need to go up here to resources, UI. I'm going to go ahead and add this view, and we're going to put it under, what would be a good one to put it under? I don't want to put it at the bottom because I prefer to keep my custom game stuff there. I'm just going to duplicate this. Duplicate the input area. We're going to drag in our view conversation right there. Alright, and then we're going to come over here to the character script. Drag everything around so it's in the right order. We're going to grab you. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Alright, so currently what this does is it tries to intercept speak text outputs and do specific things here. So that's actually pretty nice. Half of the system is already there. And we can go ahead and move this. Get rid of that. And yes, that's all fine. All right, so set object from JSON. Don't need to worry about that. So what we want to do is we want to come up to here, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure we're going to need this to be. I don't think we'll need this to be public. I don't think any of these needed to be public. I think they were just public. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say serialized field, tooltip, we'll make this protected, and then conversation avatar data, I think is what it is. Yeah. Conversation data is equal to null. It's going to be data for the for use in the conversation menu. And we're going to rename that to data used in the conversation menu for this character. All right. And what we're going to do there is, so we come down to check key phrase, which is tested where exactly? Oh, good. It's handled in the parser. Ah. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Okay. That's probably fine because we shouldn't really have to get there at that point. Instead, we're going to go ahead and... So it's going to be here that we want to open that up. Let's peek response, get response, response phrases. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. All right, so I'm just gonna comment this chunk out for now. And all we really need to do is open up that menu. So we're gonna go ahead and say UI dot get view conversation view dot open, and we're gonna say false for this because we don't want it to close anything else. And then, oh boy, we're gonna have to say, oh man, we need to grab our input view. So I'm gonna say UI dot get view input view dot. Okay, so we're gonna go check this out real quick. Go to definition. I need some way of basically disabling listen, which I think is just a coroutine that's running. It might actually just be an update now. So we're going to go ahead and do all this stuff. So is listening for submit, find all references. Can I set that to be nice if I could set it to false manually. Alright, I guess that means that I need to do that, which is a little gross. Set is listening for submit is equal to value. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and come down to here. I'm going to say dot is listening for submit is equal to false. Okay, and that means that in the close function for conversation, close some of this. Criteria drawer, conversation topic drawer, game settings, I have too many things. Okay. Let's go to definition, I guess. Oh, it's probably because I moved it, right? So we're going to come down to here, and on our close function, override close, I'm just going to say if is open, this, and then we're going to say UI.get view input view not is equal to true. All right. So from that, we get some fun. Because this is probably, I'm going to put a to-do in here just because I know we're going to have to do this. To-do send data, or what do I say, output log of the conversation. All right. So before we do anything else there, we're going to need an open function. So I'm going to go ahead and say override open. There. And we're just going to say if not is open, call base. We're going to do that at the start. And then we'll go ahead and say we're going to need to populate our topics. And actually, this is not going to be an override function. Instead, it's going to be, it's going to require a conversation avatar data. We need that. We're going to say private conversation avatar data, conversation data. We'll just say data, honestly. Data is equal to null. We're going to say this dot data is equal to data. And we're going to go ahead and come down to here, say private void populate generate topics. Private void clean up topics. We're going to say topics here. And what else are we going to need to do? We're going to need to spawn. So private void spawn avatar. Private void despawn avatar. Well, we'll just say clean up avatar. Okay. I'm thinking about what else we want to do here. So it's yeah, because we want to make this juicy, don't we? All right, so we're going to need a couple of things. First up, we're going to need to say using sleepyl system.collections.generic. Then we're going to need a couple of things, really. We're going to need a button, which I do have. So we're going to go ahead and say private list label button. And we're just going to call this topic buttons is equal to new that. We're going to say private list output section. Conversations sections, I guess, is equal to new output session. What else are we going to need? The avatar itself, obviously. So we're going to say private conversation avatar avatar, I guess, is equal to null. Okay, and that is not exactly all we needed to do, but it is. We need to do some more UI work before we can really get into it. So I'm going to come up to here. I'm going to drag the UI into the scene. Grab the conversation view. All right, so this King profile label, obviously that's not going to be there. You know, should I? I am going to have to make my own animation system for this, aren't I? Because I kind of have animation set up for this. You can see we have like eye blinking ASCII, eye opening ASCII, eye closing ASCII. And the reason that we have to do that, just to show you what I mean, if we go ahead and create UI, TextMesh Pro Text, I'm going to collapse this. We're going to scroll up here to our test scene. I'm going to create controller. We're going to come down to here. We're going to add an animator. All right, cheer train. Welcome all. You're in time to see me go on a diatribe about Ascii Animations. All right, so one of the problems with doing Ascii Animations is if I want to make like a regular animation, it's not really something that we can do very easily. So I'm going to just go ahead and add a property here. You'll notice that we don't actually have a value for the text here that we can set. And that's because it's a string. How do you animate a string, right? It's a hard set value. So that means in order to make any sort of reasonable ASCII animations, I'm probably going to have to make my own little system. So that's actually not too bad. I've recently been getting more and more into doing custom animations for, or by custom animations, I mean like my own custom animation systems for small scale things. So we're basically going to do something like that today. And the end goal is to basically get this set up in such a way that we can set this, where did I put it? Basically do a bunch of these animations in a shareable way. So a way that I can port them from avatar to avatar so that I don't have to constantly do whole scale ASCII art for every single character. I might be able to share some small amount of things like eyes blinking and mouths talking. That's probably not always going to be the case, but you know, it's something that we can try to optimize a little bit. So with that said, I'm not actually going to worry about getting the ASCII art animation stuff off the ground right now. What I want to do is I want to get us into the conversation menu and actually talking to the avatar. So it's going to be static for now. It's not actually going to say anything. But that, well, we'll get it so that they can return text, but we're not going to have it animate, basically. All right, so for this, we're going to want to, you know, actually I might just leave it as is so that we can get testing. We already have the canvas group on here. The end idea is that it fades in and then it starts talking basically. So, all right, let's go ahead and just do that. I'm not even gonna worry about fading it in right now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn you off. Open this up. So as it stands right now, I think we can actually talk to the character and that menu should pop up. It's not gonna be functional yet because we need to hook up the logic for it, but it should at least show up. So let's see what that looks like. All right, got our test character. I'm just going to say talk. Boom. There we go. Oh, right. The order is off, so the input menu is drawing over it, as is the HUD, which means that that just means that the HUD's drawing over this. So we're going to want to bump this conversation window up to draw on top of those things. Okay, and you... Oh, right. It's not going to highlight because it's covered. So let's go ahead and pop down to... Where are you, conversation? Okay, I'm going to bump this. So that's at 0. I'm guessing 5 should be enough. I guess if I want to be absolutely sure, let's go to input. Okay, 10. So I need to go to 11. I'm going to crank that to 11 then. All right. So now it should draw over the HUD and the input menu. So we won't have that overlay effect anymore. Also, I was so swept up in the people coming to check out the stream. How's everyone doing tonight? So I'm going to go ahead and say talk. There we go. So topics aren't quite populating yet, but we do have things working. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go over here to character. We're not going to say open here. We are going to say open and then conversation data. Conversation data. Go ahead and do that. When that happens, we are going to want to say this .data is equal to data. We're going to want to populate or generate topics. So I'm going to say generate topics. And that is, we probably should have a little output, like a flavor text. I'm going to hop over to conversation avatar data. We have our prefab that we're going to spawn, which I can, I guess, go ahead and spawn. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that yet. Go ahead and say tooltip, public string, introduction text, I guess. Let's go ahead and make that a text area. Text area, we'll have it be 2 to 3. I don't want it to get too big. This is going to be text shown when initially conversing with a character. Okay, and in addition to that, I think we'll be fine there. Okay, so let's hop back over here to our conversation view and generate topics. So for this, we're going to go clean up topics, which is just going to recycle everything. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and say, okay, yeah, this is going to be fun. So I'm going to go ahead and go to conversation avatar data, and we have our topics. I probably should add, let's do public. We're going to make it a list, I suppose. So we're going to say using system.collections.generic. We're going to make it a list of conversation topics. And we're going to say get valid topics. So this is a list of all topics that you can discuss, and then we'll probably need to separate that into a list of topics that you can see. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's just do get visual topics. And we're going to go ahead and say list conversation topic. We'll say visual topics. New, blah, blah, blah. We're going to return visual topics at the end. And then all the while, we're going to go ahead and say for int I equals 0, I is less than topics.length, I plus plus. We're going to say topics, I'm going to say if topics of I dot, I don't have the is valid on that yet either, so we're going to go ahead and add that to this. Of course, my to-do right there. So we're going to go ahead and say public bool is valid is probably a different criteria than is visual. So I'm going to go ahead and say is valid, and that's going to return true by default at the end, and otherwise we're going to go ahead and say for int I equals 0, I is less than criteria dot length I plus plus And all we got to do here is say if criteria dot is valid. Oh, you're kidding me. I'm sorry, criteria of I dot is valid. Yeah, that one I knew I got. We're going to go ahead and return. Actually, no, hold on. We got to change this up a little bit. So for this, we want to say, oh boy. We actually got a couple of things. So I'm going to go ahead and say int valid count is equal to 0. And then we're going to go ahead and change that to a regular getter. And in addition to that, we're going to want to say, so if criteria of I is valid, we're going to go ahead and, all of my stuff is messed up. Oh, right, because I need you to be a getter. Duh. All right. So we're going to say if our criteria of I is valid, straight up, we're going to say if criteria validation is equal to data validation dot any. We're going to go ahead and say return true. Else, if criteria validation is equal to none, we will return false. And then else, we're going to go ahead and say valid count plus plus. And then at the end here, we're just going to say if criteria validation is equal to all, I'm going to say, no, actually before we do that, oh man, we're going to say, yeah, I'm going to need that into a nested thing. So I'm going to say if valid count is equal to, I guess we'll be safe, greater than or equal to somehow, then criteria.length, then we'll return true, else we will return false. All right, so that returns true if all of the criteria is valid. So now we're basically going to do the exact same thing, but with visuals instead. So we're going to duplicate that. I'm going to change that to is visible. We're going to change that to valid count. It's going to be visible criteria. Go ahead and move that over. Okay, and this is going to be visible criteria validation. Set that up. Set that up. All right, and actually we can compress this down to one line. So do that. Boom. Okay. So now I can go up to my conversation avatar data, and I can say is visible. Yeah, I guess that's okay. For now, I'm just going to do raw visibility check. I'm not going to worry if it's valid or not, because they, in theory, will always be valid if they're visible. All right, so we're going to say topics of I dot is visible. Then we are going to say visual topics dot add topics of I. Okay, that's pretty much all we got to do there. And that means that now I can come over to here and I can call in generate topics. We're going to say data.get visual topics. We're actually going to rename that to visible topics. Okay. That's going to be a list of conversation. Oh, what was it? Topics. That's right. So we're going to say visible topics is equal to that. Okay, and then we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than visible topics dot count I plus plus we're going to go ahead and say label button topic button is equal to pool manager dot request topic button prefab. That's going to need to be spawned. Do I have a grid referenced up here? Yep, topics parent right there. Topics parent, pretty straightforward there. And then we're going to go ahead and say topic button dot text is equal to visible topics of I dot label. And then we're going to go ahead and say topic button dot on click dot add listener delegate we're going to go ahead and come in here, and I'm going to need to add a function down here called private void on topic clicked. It's going to take a string topic. All right, and that's going to pass in visible. And I can just say topic button. So topic button dot text. I totally did that wrong. I need to call, of course, on topic clicked before passing that. And we're just going to do that. That's pretty straightforward. And finally, we're going to go ahead and say topic buttons dot add topic button. All right, nice. And I should have camel casing. All right. So in addition to that, that should spawn all of our topics and then set them up in such a way that we can click on them. And once we click on them, we're going to want to actually submit this. So I'm going to go ahead and add a function that, so this needs to move to here. I'm going to add a function here called private void check topic, string topic. Okay, so this is going to call check topic. And on submit is basically going to do a similar thing. So this is just using game view. It's going to be a little rough to start. Private void update if input get key down code. I can't spell dot enter or input dot get key down key code dot return. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and say on submit. That's going to have a frame delay down here, private enumerator, select delay. Okay, so on submit, we're just going to say a couple of things. We're going to say check topic input.text.trim. And then we're going to say start coroutine select delay. That's pretty much all we need to do there. I'm not going to worry about validation yet. And then this is just going to say yield return null input dot select field. Okay. And for this we can go ahead and say close. And now check topic is what needs to happen. So for this, we need to say, So I do have a reference for my input section prefab. This is going to be interesting. So for check topic, I want to, first things first, I need to spawn my output section. So I'm going to go ahead and say, output section input section is equal to pool manager dot request. I think it's actually called input section, isn't it? Input section prefab, and that's going to go to something parent. I'm sure output parent right there. Okay, and that's pretty straightforward. This is going to say input, of course. Input section dot text. Oh, hold on. Initialize. There we go. It's going to be initialized with the topic Right, which for now, actually, I will have to eventually do validation on submit. I'll have to like parse through the string that you type to look for keywords, but for now, I'm not worried about that. We're going to go ahead and just pass the whole topic in. That's all fine. We'll go ahead and say new section settings. No, I'm not worried about that, actually. Not worried about text effects either. So I'm just going to hard code this for now because we're just kind of getting this going. So we're going to say input plus topic. And then we need to determine what should happen when the data is validated. So we're going to pop over here to conversation avatar data. Did you catch the Unite keynote? I did. It was so-so. About half of the stuff was uninteresting, and the other half was pretty interesting. I caught their roadmap today, which was also pretty cool. Is there anything in particular that you're excited about? So this is going to be 2 to 3. This is going to be a tooltip, public string. This is going to be our default response is equal to this. So this is going to be text shown when the character doesn't have a response to a topic. Okay, we're going to go back here. And I guess that means that we want to go to, actually we're going to pop right back in here. And I'm going to say public string get response string input. Okay. And for this, at the end, we're going to go ahead and return default response. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say for int I equals 0, I is less than topics.length, I plus plus. Oh man, priorities probably should happen. No, we're just going to cheat and make that a thing in the custom editor for it. The multiplayer build stuff looked too good to believe. Do you mean like their live update thing? Or are you talking about their multiplay solution? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to iterate through our topics, and we're going to do them in order. And later on, I'm going to make it a reorderable list so that priorities, the more higher priorities, sorry, let me rephrase that. So the higher priority responses are going to be up at the top of the list, and lower priorities will be at the bottom. So basically, if you type multiple keywords, the only ones that really matter are the ones that get detected first, and they'll take priority. So we're going to go ahead and say if, so topics should have a set of keywords. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and it's going to go down here. I'm going to add public bool. What would this be? Is relevant? String. Oof. Okay. Actually, we're gonna change this up. So this is gonna be string. It's gonna be an array input. We're gonna return false. Okay. And all we're gonna do here is we're just gonna say for int I equals 0. I is less than input dot length I plus plus, and we're just going to say if input of I dot contains, hold on, sleepyout.common contains, can't spell, contains, I don't have a contains any? Huh. Alright, I gotta go to string real quick. Oh, duh, because I'm stupid. I should just change this. So this is going to be if keywords dot contains I also don't have any there. That's such a shame. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pop over to here. This is gonna be interesting. Okay. So I'm gonna hop over to this function real quick, or to this class, and I'm gonna make a new extension function because I would like to have it contains any. Yes, pushing editor changes to running games. That I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how that's going to work because it seems pretty ridiculous for you to try and do that to full-on live games. It would make sense if it was a developer build, perhaps, but why would you want to have your editor hooked up to live builds of your game that general players are playing, not like beta testers or anything like that? If it's specifically for that, that makes way more sense. But otherwise, I don't know. I'm not sure how they're gonna really roll that out. So public static bool contains any this system dot array, and then t array values where t system dot I comparable. Okay, that's pretty straightforward, and we're gonna go ahead and say return array.index. I guess we're gonna do return false, and then we're just gonna say for int I equals 0, I is less than array.length I plus, and we're just going to say if array.index of values, no, sorry, this should be values. Values of I is greater than or equal to 0. Return true. Okay, so that's a nice easy one. But we actually want to do string comparisons, so we need a special version that allows it to have string comparisons. So I'm going to go ahead and comment this real quick. Returns true if are contained in the array. Do this. Boom. I'm just going to copy this. Values to search the array for. All right. So we want, top of this, I'm going to come up here and say using system, which of course means that I can get rid of all of those. I've got enough stuff in here that I don't really need all of these system keywords. Let's see here. Yeah, see, there's my contains ignore case. Sure, whatever, that works. Then I don't have to make that separate one. Oh, that's an actual value. So we're going to go ahead and I guess just duplicate this. Contains any ignore case. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll just be lazy. Yeah, I'm trying to think what the most exciting thing in their rollout was for me. Probably, considering that I love editor scripting, there was a very quick note in one of their bulletin pages listing a bunch of features that they're working on that basically stated that there is going to be some sort of way of using some sort of workflow for getting custom package manager things set up, which already exists technically, but it's a very cumbersome process. So if they can streamline that with a UI of some kind, that's going to be really interesting for me to work with at work, because we're looking into that stuff right now, and it would be really, really fun. So we're going to go ahead and change this. And why did I do it that way? That's so silly. All right, so we're going to loop through all of our array, and then we're also going to go ahead and say for int j equals 0, j is, yeah, no, this is fine. J is less than value.length, j plus plus. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to say values of j. Spell, I can do this. Oh. Oh, there we go. Okay. That is pretty good. So let's hop back here, and we're going to say contains any ignore case, and we're just going to pull in input. We're going to say return true. Okay. And now that means that when we come back here to our conversation view, we are going to be able to do this. We're going to go ahead and say how do I want to do this? Data dot, what was it, check, or what did I call it? Get response. There we go. Get response. Topic. I'm going to make it a string. Also change this a little bit. So this is going to be text.trim.split based off of system.string_split options.remove empty entries. Okay. Very boring, obviously. We're going to make a new string array of 1 with the topic as the value. Which actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and just make this a params thing. Because then, bam. Because then I don't need to do that. Okay. On submit, that's all good. So we want to call data.getResponse based off of the topic. And what? Oh, of course. So we're going to do that. And we're just going to go ahead and say if topics of I dot is relevant based on input. And we will return topics of I dot, not keywords. Hilarious. I don't actually have an output value on my topics. So let's go to topic. Let's go to here. Okay, how do I want to handle this? Because adding to this is going to also affect the property drawer, which is going to suck. Alright, I think what I'm going to do here is, for now, I'm going to just go ahead and say public string output. Oh, this is a struct, right? So this is going to be tooltip text return or text shown when this topic is broached. That is going to be fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop back over to here. Conversation topics, this is going to be our output. Okay. And then that means we can now go over to here, and we're just going to say string output is equal to that. And then I'll be able to say output section response section is equal to pool manager dot request data dot crap. What is it? I guess I don't have it yet. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Tooltip, blah, blah, blah. So public output section. Say custom section. Avatar section. Output section, I guess. No. Output section. Prefab used when the avatar responds. When the avatar talks. Okay. So we're going to pop back over to here. So we're going to say data dot output section, and that's going to get spawned to the output parent. We are really close to getting the actual interactions going. So let's go ahead and say response section dot initialize output, and we're going to go ahead and say new settings. I don't need spaces before. So we're going to leave it like that. And then we're going to go ahead and say, you know, I need a list of these, don't I? Yeah, okay. And then we're going to go ahead and do our last one, output section. Don't even need that, actually. So we're going to go ahead and do this real quick. We're going to say if sections.count is greater than 0. We're just going to go ahead and say output section space section is equal to pool manager dot request empty section prefab output parent. Oh, stop it. Output parent. Okay, and that's all we need to do. We're going to go ahead and say sections.add space section. Okay, and then at the end here, we're just going to go ahead and say sections.add input section, sections.add response section. Okay. Blech. Got it. I think that's working. So for clean up topics, let's go ahead and get that. Well, actually, you know what? This, I think, is enough for us to get a test case going. So let's go ahead and let that compile. And while that's happening, just because, yeah, I know I'm going to have to do that. All right, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Text area, we'll say 2 to 5, I guess. I will say 2 to 3, honestly. This here, find all references. We're going to need to go to custom property drawer. Then I'm going to add times 5 here. Height plus equals editor GUI utility dot get get property height put. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to put this right here. We get all the fun stuff here. Position.set, position.add. x position.y plus position.height plus utility.spacing, then position.width followed by editor stop it. Editor GUI.get property height, property.find property relative, and this is going to be output position dot, oh, not position dot set, editor GUI dot property field position followed by property dot find property relative output. Okay. I think that's good. Let's go ahead and let that compile. So now, if I go up to my data, what did I bork? Oh, right. Property dot find property relative. There we go. Okay, that should fix that little issue. Okay. Waiting for that to compile. All right, so now we can see we do have an output field there. Nice. So now we can easily adjust this. So the king, we're just going to go ahead and say, I am the king. We don't really need to worry about this. I am going to want to have a test case here, aren't I? Actually, before we do any of that, let's go ahead and debug this. I'm going to drag conversation data in right there. I am going to create a test script real quick because we kind of need that for this. So we're just going to say conversation test. Pretty straightforward. And all this is going to do is just set a couple of values when we start the scene so that we can test some valid topics, make sure that everything's properly set up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say public data. Actually, before I do anything else, I'm going to move this to the text quest namespace. We're just going to go ahead and say public, I think it was like data criteria. Data, we'll say start data. Let's see what's new. All that, and all we're going to do is private void start. We're just going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than start data dot length I plus plus and we're just going to say switch start data of I dot type case this dot bool break case dot float break case this dot int break, and that's really all I care about, honestly. Honestly, we're probably just going to end up using the bools, so let's go ahead and say session dot set bool, and then we're going to say start data of I dot id followed by start data of I dot bool value. That's pretty much all I care about. So let's go ahead and let that compile. All right, so I don't think we need anything else. Hello there. I can't help myself. Ah, you froze on me. Okay, give me a second. Or rather, give Unity a couple of seconds. A handful, a pittance of seconds. Alright, we're going to go ahead and, of course, you're not going to show up, so it should be down here. We want, Chris Speak section is fine for this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change this up. So these are going to be, we're going to go ahead and say, oh, right, you're not going to do anything because you don't exist right here. Harumph, 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 harumph. Yeah, all right. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of put this right here. And we're just going to add a collection manager to this. We're going to go ahead and add that ID tree or castle. Sure, that's all fine. We're going to pop back over to here. Add our start test. Okay, so we're just going to do, we'll just do one for now. So type is going to be a bool. Castle, we'll go ahead and say gem taken is going to be equal to true. And let's go ahead and we'll do two, might as well. We're going to change this to castle. Gold key taken, that is false by default. We're going to go ahead and come over to here. We're going to change this to castle. So this is if it's valid at all. I'm just going to give this a 0 criteria for that. And for this, we only need 1. This is going to be castle, gem taken, true. Let's go ahead and do... Actually, don't even need to worry about that. Let's go ahead and just give the king, or make the king topic a default. So we're going to add a second topic. This is going to be smart. Why not? Keywords will probably be shop. Well, let's actually go for 2. Let's go for shop and smart. Then our criteria, we're not going to have any criteria. Visible criteria is going to be that our gem taken is true. Okay, we're going to add a third topic. We'll call this boom stick. This is my boom stick. Okay, we're going to say boom and stick as the possibilities. And criteria, this one we are not going to have any criteria validation for. We're just going to go ahead and make this gold key taken as true. So, all right, for all of those things, we should get the first 2. We should get king and smart, but not boom stick. Let's go ahead and hit save here. I don't think we need to do anything else. Response, hello there, I'm the warden. Yes. All right. We should be good. I'm trying to think, do I need to do anything else? I don't think I have recycling working for the topics yet, but that's fine. We shouldn't need to worry about it. It should basically just open, generate topics, and then we should be good. So, okay. Oh. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So let's go ahead and play. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and say talk. Alright, so you clearly did not... Oh, wait. No. Wait, did I not set up my topics? Gold key is equal to false. Okay. Well, dang. Alright, fine. It looks like our visible validation is not quite correct. Just curious. Man, what is up with this long lag before it starts? We're going to go ahead and say talk. Okay, you didn't quite work now, did you? Oh, it's probably because I forgot, right, the most obvious thing, which is I forgot to set my menu. Where are you? Hold on. Here we are. Nope, I guess we did do that one. All right, where'd you come from then? Text section, huh? I see. I suppose that just means we need to do this. If effects or is equal to null. I can't type tonight. Return. Okay. Oh, while that's compiling, I'm also going to go ahead and try to figure out what went wrong with my visible stuff. Review conversation topic. So I checked is visible, right? Find all references. If topic is visible, so we're going to say if any of these. So if visible criteria is. Oh, there it is. Wait, what? Hold on. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yes. Any, we can return true. If it's equal to none, return false. Most valid count plus plus. If it is visible. Okay, find all references, come down to here, get visible topics. In theory, that should all work, but apparently I have a criteria oversight there. Let's go ahead and hit play. Oh, whatever. Yeah, so my initial stuff here is always going to do that. Oh, interesting. Smart also returns I am the king. Oh, did I not change its output? That's entirely possible. Let's go over here to my test case. Ah, I did. Okay. But boomstick is not valid. So we tried to click on it, and it didn't. It gave us our default output, which is interesting. Also, I do want to change this up a little bit, so we need to go over here to conversation view, which is somewhere. There we go. So we're going to pass in topic and topic. And then on submit, we're going to go ahead and say input.text.trim right there. And then this is going to say string input. Okay. And now I can change this to input. It's a lot easier. Okay. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and go to conversation topic. Go to, so valid count, visible criteria collection, or validation, valid count is equal to visible criteria dot length. criteria validation. I think that it would be correct. So we're going to go ahead and say debug.log is visible. We're just going to go ahead and say label plus that. So let that all compile. I'm curious to know what's happening there. Because boomstick should not be visible. Especially because we only have one criteria, which... Oh, that's totally what's happening. This should be false. Yeah, that should be what we have for this. So that was just me being a silly person. All right. Well, that's compiling. I am curious with regards to the Unity engine topic again, about the ECS stuff. So I'm actually a little bit confused because it seems like they are listing ECS as a separate thing to dots. Is dots just like the overall grouping for ECS stuff? Because I thought they renamed it at some point, like in one of their keynotes. They're like, and we've renamed ECS to dots. But they were using both of those words in the keynote, and I was, or in the roadmap that they released today, and I was very confused about that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit play there. Okay, that makes sense then. So ECS is not dots, and dots is not ECS, but ECS is part of dots. Okay. Now you did it backwards. Oh, wait. Actually, we just got to do this. If visible criteria dot length is equal to 0, return true. If visible, or not visible, criteria dot length is equal to 0, return true. Might as well have those be at the top. ECS jobs and burst compiler, I think that's it. Yeah. They keep changing the APIs every month. Impossible to develop for right now. Yeah, it seems like their dots stuff has been the major focus for them for this past year. Like I've been messing with addressables for at least a couple of months, and that API hasn't significantly changed. I think they've been cleaning up their own errors that they have in there, but it's not like making API changes for the most part, or at the very least, it's not causing any issues. But I haven't really used ECS specifically because it was so early on in its life that I didn't want to really try to learn it at the time. I mean, I obviously messed around with it a couple of times, but I've never really... Okay, there we go. Not crazy about you. Start, but that's fine. Cool, so we have, I'm going to try boom. Nice. So we can broach topics that you don't see, and we can also click on topics. So the next thing we want to do is, one, fix this clearing so that it's always empty once you type something. And the second is going to be testing out invalid responses. So let's go ahead and come down to here, get rid of you. I'm going to come over here to conversation view, and then in on submit, we're going to go ahead and come down here to select delay. I'm going to say, well, we won't do it there. Right here, we're just going to say put text is equal to nothing. We're going to go ahead and come over here to conversation data. I'm going to add. Let's get a couple of things collapsed. I'm going to add a new topic. And if Unity feels like it, I'll actually be able to do it. All right, so let's go ahead and come down to here, collapse you. So this one is going to be, why not Necronomicon? Okay, and we're going to say, oh, well, if only I remember the actual full phrase. I think it's like, bound in human flesh and written in blood. No, inked in blood, I believe. Inked in blood. There we go. Keywords, we're going to go ahead and say Deadite, Necronomicon, why not? Criteria, we are going to have one criteria, and that is going to be that castle mask taken is true. And otherwise, we're going to also make, we're going to make the visible criteria the same. So castle mask taken, it's somewhere. There we go. So that's also going to have to be true. So both of those things need to be true. Any is fine. I suppose we should also go ahead and test a few other things. Let's go ahead and test out our none and all. So we'll go ahead and add a new one. We'll say, oh man, how many Evil Dead references can we get in here? Okay. This is going to be Jacksonville. So we're getting out of the movies and into the TV series. Oh man, is it Paradise is Here, I think? I think that's what was on the postcard in the TV series. We're going to go ahead and say, I don't know. Paradise. Why not? We'll use one keyword. Criteria. Oh, I should test out multiple keywords. Let's see. So we want this to be, all of these need to be true. We're going to go ahead and say mask taken is equal to false, and let's do knife taken is equal to true. So all of those have to be true. Oh, actually, I'm not too concerned with the criteria. Visible will be plenty, I think, to test this. Let's go ahead and say all. We'll duplicate this. We'll say, were you different? Oh, that's right. I made it. Wait. What the happened there? I think Necronomicon, this was so that. Hold on, something's wrong here. I feel like that got changed. I thought I made them the same. So we want a topic that you can't discuss, which is what the Necronomicon in one is. So mask taken is equal to true, mask taken is equal to false. I guess we should go ahead and, that should be true. That was the problem. They should have been the same. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then we're going to go ahead and say Paradise is here. Don't need to worry about criteria. I will say mask taken is both true and false, and it has to be all. It can't be both of those things, so that should fail. And then let's go ahead and add one more, which is just going to be, I think that's El Jefe. I think that's how you spell it. Pretty sure it's only one F. So we're going to say, I'm not your Hefe. We're going to go ahead and say Hefe chosen. Okay, and this one we want to be none. So we're going to say castle. Castle entrance exited. Why not? We'll make that an int. And we want it to be... So none of these should be true. This should not equal 1. And... what else do we got? Castle door unlocked. Should also be false. So if any of these evaluate to true, then it will fail. So, okay. We're going to come back here to plain. And now I got to remember all of those fun things. So we got the gem taken. We have like 6 variables that we got to set here. I'm going to go ahead and cheat here. I'm going to add tab, inspector. Drag this out here. I'm just going to lock this. That way I can come back over to here and see all of my criteria. So first things first, let's try to go in order. Castle gold key taken, that's all good. Necronomicon, we don't care about the criteria here. Or I guess we do actually. So we want this to be castle mask taken. That needs to be false by default. Okay. And then Jacksonville, we want all of this to be true, so we want castle mask taken to be set, which is already going to be set to false. That's fine. El Jefe, here we go. So for this we want it to be none. So we want castle entrance, door unlocked is going to be set to well, we'll set it to false initially, so we only need 5 variables here, funny enough. Then castle entrance exited is going to be an int value that's going to be set to 1, which means that I need to actually set that script up to do stuff, don't I? So we're going to go ahead and do set float value, int value. Set int. Okay. All right. So that should give me a wide variety of topics that I can and cannot see and can and cannot broach. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. Okay. So let's close this up. I think we'll be good. And if we have that working, that basically is the basis for the channel or for the menu, which means that all we really have to do from that point on is polish. Well, polish and an animation system for ASCII art. You know, very easy things. All right, let's go ahead and try talking again. Okay, that's about right. So if we hit king, I am the king. Smart. Oh boy, you need to really be more sensitive. Deadite. You should not be possible. Did I not do a valid check on this? I did this. It's the same thing. Hold on, let's pop back over to here. This needs to return false by default. Aside from that, everything should be the same. There we go. Okay, so that was oversight on my part. Okay. So let's go ahead and once that's compiled, let's going to be interesting doing an ASCII art animation system. Oh boy. Man, writing a preview system for that is going to suck so hard. I don't actually know that I'll be able to do previews. I'll have to like do previews live, which is it's gonna suck. All right, so let's go ahead and talk. All right, so I'm gonna go to King, shop. I'm gonna go boom. What the fuck just happened? Whoa. Okay, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. Okay. Well, I was starting to type deadites. Okay. What the frick is happening there? It's like random closures. What the heck? Let's try that again. Something was closing that menu. I wonder. E. Ah! Okay. That's the problem. My interaction is messing with me. Okay. How curious. Is it closing? Is that... Okay. I'm going to turn off maximize on play. I feel like the input menu should basically prevent all of those problems from happening by existing, but it must be closed, would be my guess. That's all I can think of. I'm going to try talking. Okay, so here I'm hitting E and nothing's happening. But after I hit enter here, okay, let's try that again. Okay, it's just fucking with me now. I think what is happening here, though, is if we go to UI, clone, view container, input, root, input, output, new. So it's all there. I think what's happening is my input field is fighting for control of this, and if I do this, there it is. Okay. So I need to go over here to input view. Let's go ahead and pop back over to here. Input view, go to definition. So down here, let's see, there should be a select. Hold on, give me a second. Let's peek this definition. Okay. How interesting. On select. Okay, this is weird. Text. Okay, placeholder text. Trim. Text. Placeholder text. Has to be down here. Really? Okay, something odd is happening that I did not expect. When is close being called here? So what's happening there is I have it set up in such a way that when you hit enter, when you have nothing typed on the input view, it closes the input view. But it doesn't actually seem as though the input view is what's doing that. Here we are. So what I want to do, well, it's weird because on submit, let's find all references. Okay, so that's not being called in here. That's just in the base class. If we go to text request view, we have it set so that if is listening for submit is equal to true, then it's going to be doing these things. This is not an overridable thing, which means that this is somewhere being set, or it's being set somewhere in input view. It has to be. It has to be getting forced to true. But I don't know where. In update. I see. Yeah, I was worried about that. Okay. That was done as a safety feature. Crud. Okay. Think. What to do here? It's basically forcing itself to get back to being selected. Frack. Means I have to have a separate bool check. Ah! All right. I guess that means that. Well, no. So we're gonna go ahead and pop back into input view. I'm just gonna go ahead and add a bool up here. I'll go ahead and put it here, I guess. So public bool force selection is equal to, oops, sorry, not that, we're just going to do get set statement. We're going to go all the way down to, oh, it's not here. Isn't that wonderful? Oy. Wait, no, it is. Wait, is it not? Yeah, right there. Okay, weird, whatever. So I'm going to say if for selection and for submit. On open up here, I'm going to set that up. For selection is equal to true. And we come up to here. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And when we go to here, these are going to be set to false. That should fix the problems we were seeing. Let's go ahead and let that go. So with this, we do have various topics seeming to work. There's not a lot of conversation area, though. We're kind of limited to like a third of the screen, which is not anything, honestly. Gotta figure out how to show more. That's too little conversation. Okay, so we're gonna say shop. Boom. Deadite. That should not have happened. Paradise. Also should not have happened. And finally, Hefe. None of those should have happened. So that is vexing. Come over to here, make sure that I didn't do something stupid. Okay, so if none of these were true, we're going to come up to here. We were explicitly setting castle door unlocked is equal to false. Castle entrance exited is equal to 1. Versus so this should have evaluated as true, which means it should have failed. This would have evaluated as false, which makes it okay. But why is this valid? Set castle entrance exited is equal to 1. We're checking if castle entrance exited is equal to 1. We don't want it to be true, so interesting. Back to here. Huh. Alright. Well, now is the time of our discontent. I'm going to pop over to conversation topic. Get rid of you. Here we are. Go ahead and find all our references. What? I'm sorry. Is valid isn't used? I must have used as visual instead. Alright, let's go down to... I think we want to go to conversation avatar data. There we go. Oh, right. Let's go to find all references, then we're going to go back to here and then get responses. Ah, here we are. So we're going to say if it's relevant and topics of I is valid. There we go. So that was the problem, is that we weren't doing a valid check basically, so it was always getting through. Which, yes, that's fine. Because topics weren't showing up visually, which is fine because we had that logic set up correctly. We just weren't doing it for the validation checks. That's why we could type deadite and it would give us a response. Okay, let's try this again. If Unity feels like it. Okay, so we're going to say, man, it keeps not selecting that on start. We're going to say king. We're going to say shop. Yeah, you can, you know, okay, deadite. Alright, Hefe. You should have been false. What were my other things that I wanted to test? Jacksonville. Oh, wait, hold on. Timeout, timeout, timeout. Yeah, you can't be both of these things. One of these has to be false. Really now. Let's pop over to conversation topic and criteria validation. Criteria validation. I don't believe this. We're gonna go ahead and say debug.log string.format do. And we're gonna say is this is going to be label followed by valid count out of criteria.length. Valid count, I mean, if it's greater than or equal to criteria.length, which means that it should be correct. Oh, sorry. This should be that. So we have a length of 2. Valid count can't possibly be true for both of those things. Well, let's find out. I mean, it must be getting through, but that is very interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a play. And talk. We're going to say Hefe. Hefe. Nothing's coming out there. That's probably not good. Deadite. Okay, so that's totally happening. The fact that nothing is coming out there means that it never gets that far. I'm going to come down here. Criteria.length is equal to 0. Return true. Oh. That's... Duh. I'm so stupid. I was testing the wrong thing. They weren't showing up in the inspector, which is correct. They weren't supposed to. Bleh. Okay, so that was me being stupid. I'm gonna go ahead and come back here real quick. I'm just gonna call in open start coroutine select delay so that gets out of the way. All right, so I think that's a pretty decent place to stop for the night. We do have conversations functional. They're a little rough. Actually, you know what? Before we do anything else, I do want to test. I'm gonna experiment with not putting a separator in there so that we don't have an empty space, because we're already at a screen real estate premium, and I'm not sure how to address that, admittedly, because there's just not a lot that we can do there. I suppose I could redesign the menu a fair amount. Move the ASCII art off to the side, perhaps. Maybe on the right. Maybe that could work. It's gonna be really cramped though, and we would lose the text or the button interface, which is a little problematic, I feel. Boo, boo, boo. I suppose I could show prompts instead. So topics are meant to be a nice visual way for you to see, like, oh, this is a thing I can do, and I can talk to them about. So it's not too bad, but we don't really have a long one. All right, paradise. So like when they're short, it's not really too bad there. The problem is more when they're longer. I don't really know what we need to worry about. Should probably add a quick long test. But yeah, I don't like having the conversation area basically be 3 lines long before it gets to be truncated. Um, I could shrink the topics, perhaps. Yeah, I don't want to. I can't really shrink the avatar though. That's already a semi-small size. Huh. That's not ideal. All right. Um, well, for now, for now, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So, the next steps are going to be getting a log output. When you go back to the input menu, it should show a scrollable section that will show you basically your chat history with the avatar. I want to design the menu a little bit differently just so that I have some more screen real estate. I don't know what to do there though. I don't know. There are a couple of ideas, but we made some decent progress. We have actual topic discussion happening, so you can send a variety of inputs and it will showcase them. I didn't test priorities, but it wouldn't matter in theory. It would always be whichever one was discovered first. So there are a couple of other steps that I need to take, but we do have the basis of the conversation system working, which is a good thing. So that's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. Because like I said, it's mostly going to be polished from here now that the functionality is basically done. That's all right. So any announcements? We should be good to stream this weekend at our usual time, 3 p.m. On Saturday. So all right, I think that's a pretty good place to stop. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.